I had a hell of a time with Big Team Battle last weekend, and with more flights coming down the road and there already being a lot of more in-depth reviews out there for BTB, I think it would be better to just kind of talk about what I liked about the flight, and I'm happy to say that there's a lot more good than bad. And after a long time and two more divisive games, and most people seem to be really enjoying the game so far. So I want to take the chance to really dive into specifically the Big Team Battle mode, what it does right, and why the sandbox complements it so damn well. One thing I do want to say quick is that there's still a lot of stability issues on PC, so if you notice that some of my footage gets a little choppy, that'd be why. And again, this is going to serve as more of a first impressions video rather than a full-on review and deep dive, because I'll probably save that for when the full game comes out and we get a look at all the maps, the weapons, the equipment, and the vehicles. But anyways, let's get started. So first things first, let's talk about the only BTB map in this flight, Fragmentation. And aesthetically, it looks very Halo. It echoes a lot of Combat Evolved and really takes me back to the days of playing on Valhalla from Halo 3. You've got the two bases with man cannons on opposing sides, mongooses and warthogs that you can jump into, a canyon filled with pine trees, and it just feels familiar in the best way possible. And I think that really just speaks to the kind of coming home theme that this game is trying to present with the art style, the music, and the gameplay style. The map is a good size. It's big enough to accommodate for the bigger player count, but it never feels like it's too big or that it takes too long to get back into combat. And one thing that I really like about the map is that it contains a bunch of different areas that encourage different types of gameplay. The tunnels force you into close quarters, the left and the right lane are medium range grenade chucking contests, the ridges are where you'll tend to get into sniper fights, and the middle lane and bigger areas are where the vehicles tend to hang out. It's Halo, so there's a lot of crossover there, and that's just part of the fun. But before we get too far away from the map design, I want to talk a little bit about the loot caves. To get into the loot caves, you have to have your AI hack the door, defend your position, and stay within a certain radius, and when it opens up, you'll be greeted with like 2 weapons and a power-up. Like I said, I like the idea of the loot caves, but to be honest, it's kind of anticlimactic, especially with how vulnerable you are waiting for the thing to unlock. I just wish there was more stuff in there, even if it was just kind of basic ammo and grenade caches, because I don't think it should be overflowing with power weapons. That would just be ridiculous. But being able to refill grenades and top off your assault rifle and BR ammo would still be a good reward. ODST did something kind of similar to this in the campaign, where you could walk up to these hidden caches in the walls and there'd be a mongoose or a ghost and SMG, pistol ammo, grenades, and 1 power weapon in there, and they were still worth going after. So if they could kind of implement that a little bit more into the loot caves, I think it could be really cool. But now on to the other new feature for BTB, Pelican drops. Pelicans will fly in and drop off a variety of different vehicles throughout the match, like warthogs, ghosts, banshees, wasps, and tanks. A big part of Halo's gameplay is kind of that tug of war that happens throughout every single match, that fight and struggle over the power weapons and the maps and the vehicles, right? And having everyone watch a Pelican drop in with a Banshee turns getting any of the vehicles into a fight, or at the very least a race against your teammates. Things can get really hectic when a fight breaks out over a Pelican drop, and I think it added a really fun dynamic to the gameplay with something so simple as spawning in a vehicle. Like a lot of things, it's not about what you do, but how you do it, and making vehicle spawns part of the sandbox was a really smart idea. And I say part of the sandbox specifically because you can interact with it, or more, it interacts with you. You can get killed by the Pelican dropping in if you go off the man cannon at the wrong time. You can get crushed by a ghost landing on you if you're dumb enough to stand under it. And when people see that thing come in, they have a choice whether or not they want to go and fight for it. It turns getting the vehicle into a kind of side objective. The return to a more sandbox-style game influences the moment-to-moment gameplay in a big way. Like I said before, throughout the entire match, there's a power struggle going on, a tug of war, and you can really feel that, especially in Halo Infinite. Everyone's fighting over the power weapons, the vehicles, key zones for map control, and the weapon design, vehicles, and equipment play such a big part in that. And I'm really impressed with how well the equipment is implemented into the sandbox, because I was pretty skeptical in the beginning. Truth be told, they work a lot different than Halo 3's equipment. Halo 3's was more neutral, and Halo Infinite's acts a lot more like Halo Reach's Spartan abilities. Without going into too much detail and without lecturing people too much, basically Halo 3 stuff like the power drain and the health regen affected the user in the same way that it would affect literally every other player, teammates or not. The only advantage you had as the user was when you deployed it, and if you screwed that up, it could very easily be used against you. But now they act as more individual power-ups. The grapple hook gives you more mobility, the repulsor lets you jump and push stuff away. And even though they are different, they still interact with the environment in the sandbox in pretty cool ways. Even the threat sensor, which on paper seems pretty straightforward and boring, you can shoot teammates or vehicles with it, and then it will stick to them and it'll act as kind of like a mobile UAV, which is really damn cool. And I'm sure everyone has seen all the grapple shot and repulsor clips online, so I don't think I need to go into too much detail there, but they're really fun. And then there's possibly my favorite addition to Halo Infinite yet: the ability to pick up and throw fusion coils. Playing with these things was the most fun I had throughout the entire flight. You can grapple them, EMP vehicles with them, and they can totally mess people up. You are able to chuck these things shockingly far, like a full-on Spartan, and I really hope that they don't nerf that. The fusion coils are actually a viable power weapon, and that's hilarious. Do yourself a favor. Don't sleep on the fusion coils. I have a lot more I could talk about with the multiplayer as a whole, kind of diving into some of my thoughts on the weapons, the arena maps, the menu, the customization, all of that, so be sure to let me know if you want to see that down in the comments. But all in all, I'm really loving Big Team Battle so far, and I can't wait to play more of it. It's been really cool to see how excited everyone is about Halo again, and knowing that the gameplay is being generally well received is an amazing feeling. I don't want to feel like I'm speaking too soon here, but I think they could have nailed it here. But now I want to hear from you guys and what your thoughts are on Big Team Battle. What do you guys think of the map, the weapons, and the fusion coils? Let me know down in the comments. But thanks for checking out the video, guys. Remember that dropping a like really helps me out because it lets YouTube know that I'm doing a decent job. Be sure to subscribe if you're new so you can keep up with all my new videos. You can find me on Twitter at NickRespawns, and until next time, have a good one.